Sorry.
So, hello everybody. Nice to have you here. My name is Ronnie, and I will introduce to you our first speaker, Ankur Roy, who will talk about the agent development kit today. Thank you for the attention.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. So yes, I'm Ankur. I work as a cloud consultant in Sweden, and I'm also a Google developer expert. I've come here today to talk about a Google technology, a framework. One might say that is quite exciting because it delivers somewhat on the promises of AI. Now ADK, usually you would associate that with Android development kit, Android development and all that, and they have made it a little bit confusing by calling it the same thing. But agents, they will be almost as big a part of development in the future, or as Google estimates, as Android. So it is a good comparison to have between the two. So in this talk, we'll basically ADK, it's 3 words, Agent Development Kit, and we will be talking a bit more about the development side, but we'll also have a lot more about how to deploy it as well, how to deploy an agent. I'll have some more information shared with you regarding, like, if you want to go a deep dive into it yourself, because there's quite a bit that we won't cover in this talk, but I will share the documentation with you, because there's a lot of different stuff you can do with it. It's a very let's say it's a broad topic. But we'll sort of start with the basics, as they say. What do you guys what do you guys know? Like, what is sort of the feel of the room here? I presume everyone knows to a degree what AI is, or like how modern AI is defined, right? But what we would ask is artificial intelligence. Like, what is an agent? How many people here before today have heard or worked with, or like have had any interaction regarding an AI agent? Raise hands. Oh, well, quite a bit. This is nice. It's about, let's call it 60-40-ish in the room then. So yes, an agent it's a system that uses a model to reason with tools. So normal AI, as you would talk about, like perhaps with ChatGPT, Gemini, all of them, most of them, they will not use a source of information. They are trained. They are a big block of information, a black box, essentially. And if you ask it, what is 2 + 2, you might get 4, or you might get something else, because like it might, we don't know where the information will be pulled from. The information will not be grounded, and it will not be specified. But that's sort of the beauty with AI, or like agentic AI, is that you can tell it what it needs to be, and it will narrow itself down to become that. So you start with the big block, and then you get it to specialize. And that's and the most effective use of this, from what we have understood so far, is by having it use tools. So for example, for the 2 + 2, you could have it use a function that does the addition for it. So it will base its calculations upon solid logic. So this was a very crude diagram that I made when I showed this like 2 months ago in Italy, which is AI context reasoning tool, and it is fairly accurate, because it's similar to what Google has sort of put in, because a lot of the slides I've put in here come from sort of Google's training for the trainers and all those things, because they have made some great graphic illustrations, a little bit better than this, but with the same concept. So let's see. So yeah, this is a much cleaner way to show it, but here it's basically the same concept, right? Agent, model, and tools. And in here, it's showing how that would look. An agent is your interface. This is the thing that will interact. This is the thing that you interact with. And behind it, there's a model. The AI model, usually, and the one that you will see here will be Gemini. But usually, it can be anything. Actually, it can be Claude, ChatGPT, whatever is behind Gemma. If you want to use sort of embedded local AI, it can be anything, and they can use tools. Tools are usually APIs or functions or any data that you handle. This is one of the biggest growth areas for Google this year, because they have released something called Gemini Enterprise, which is essentially just an agent designer that is made for large enterprises to use AI on their data to get insights off their data conversationally. And this is but like this whole system, it's necessary because AI now more than ever, more and more, has started to hallucinate. Image quality in the future will go down because AI will train upon images made by AI, which will result in lower quality of images. If it is using all of the data in the internet, that can also be quite harmful, because a lot of the data in the internet is not high quality. So an agent will only use the quality data that you provided, and it's narrower but more effective in the area that is narrow towards. So the tool itself. Now we have a multi-step process here. So first off, the user will ask the agent, as we said, and there's this little guy here, the agent development kit. That's the logo for it. And then the model is the thinking part. You can think of it as the brain. It will think, okay, so this is what the user wants. Based upon what the user wants, there are tools, whatever tools, and we have instructions for, okay, this tool does that, this tool, and the model understands it, because most text models, they will understand these things, and they will understand human logic to the point where it can understand if I told it, if I did X, what should I do Y or Z afterwards? It would understand. So this is just that logic, and then it chooses one of the tools, and based off the tool, comes back with the information from the tool. And again, AI is very good at presenting information. Like if you tell it to explain the table, it'll explain it in human language. It'll explain that right back to the user. So this QR code, I'm just putting it here because now we are sort of going to get into the implementation part, and this is the repo that I have pulled most of the code from. If you want to look at the repository, because there are some very good examples of agents here, and that's sort of our next step here, and I'll show you. An interesting tool that we're going to use for this one is it's Firebase Studio. How many people here have used Firebase Studio before? Nice. We have a few hands, so they do know. So you guys do know a little bit, but I like to explain to most people who don't know. Firebase Studio is an IDE that an integrated development environment that is fully online. And one of the advantages of that is like it is connected to Firebase, but is also sort of connected to all of the Google Cloud, integrated with Gemini, the Gemini CLI. So basically integrated with all your AI tools and cloud needs, and you carry it pretty much everywhere. I'm doing this demo right now from a Chromebook, but which is not your ideal development environment. But because Firebase Studio is such an ideal development environment, it really doesn't matter. It is taking a bit of time to set up here. Oh, there we go. Just to show you what we'll get into is deployment. After we see sort of what the agent looks like and the agent development kit. Let's see. This is probably not yes. But this is this is just an example of an app that I have deployed. It was made sort of for students to use sort of their Drive and calendar data to be like, okay, here's my schedule. doesn't work on any real data. It's just it's just a sample of that app. But yes, we're back to the agent development kit. There we go. So we'll do a short breakdown of how it works. Well, first off, I will do that. No, not this one. Okay, so yes, in Travel Helper, yeah. So an agent development kit. So we have this this ADK demos, which is the GitHub repository that I had previously put in, and this a much simpler agent. It's just called Google Agent, and we will first run this agent to just try and know what one agent without one agent does. So this agent, basically what it does is it answers questions based off of Google search. So so we are going to sort of run the ADK here. The setup for the ADK is rather simple, but there's a few prerequisites to it. I believe we have this in this documentation in this repo. They actually do quite a bit of stuff here. So we'll get later into that. Another good thing about the local host here is, of course, it doesn't take up computing power on your own local device. So you can just run the local host while it's not local. So we have the basic Google agent. It's instructed to use the Google as a data source to extract to get information. For example, it's quite simple. Like what is the weather like in Vienna? And we could look out the window, and it would yes, all right, and we would see this, but yes, it's but one of the great things about this tool is events is that you can trace how your AI agent thinks. And how long the invocation takes, all of that stuff, because this will let you know if you are calling an API, how long it takes to call that API. Maybe that is sort of your problem with how slow your AI is as well. The conversation, how it's broken down into parts, the events that happened. Happened, and we'll see this in a little bit more detail when we go into the multi-agent system. But all what session you're running and evaluations, you can do all of that here, including adding in voice or camera if your agent would be using that. And yes, you'll see the Google searches that it performed on your behalf as well. But this is a much simpler agent. Let's get into a slightly more complicated agent, which is in the ADK demos itself. Now we went. So now we are using it is this one, this agent. What would happen if I went here and just said hello? And nothing happened. I believe there was an error message. I think there's something that hasn't shown up. But the reason that does not show up is because the structure is not set here. As you will see, so this is actually multiple agents in one, and only the requirements and the setup stuff is here. The rest are within these agents. So we have to go within one layer to get to the agents. So typically when you call ADK Web or ADK Run to run and test an agent, you go one layer backwards. So there will be a folder that contains everything that is the agent. You go out of that folder, and that's where you run the command line sort of run and test it. So now to get to these agents, now we will have to sort of go into there. Yes, we have to go in here and then run the ADK web again. And there we go. And this gets us into these agents. So travel helper, that will help me out quite a bit today because I have another conference today in Hamburg. That's actually a real story. But like we can break it down even further because travel helper also has many sub agents, and sub agents are sort of agents within the agents, right? We'll first start with the travel helper itself. So when we greet it, yes, just take some time to get started. This can happen sometimes. Yes, received OKs and all that stuff. There we go. I am the greeter agent, so this agent's a little over-configured here. But let's see what had happened. So this agent is actually made up of 4 agents: greeter, Google search, weather, and currency agent. And this is actually a very good way to diagrammatically represent what you're doing as well. And instead, if I showed you sort of the previous one that I was using, the student coach, where yes, and we will get back to that. But yes, you'll see what happened here is like if you greet something, the greeter agent is sort of programmed to get to there, and from there you will get back. Hello, there seems to be. I'm currently waiting for a traveler to assist. This is what the greeter agent does. So now I will ask it about my trip from Vienna. Yes. So these are, and now let's see what it has to say about that and what tools it uses. It used Google search, it used currency, and it used the weather. And we'll look at these events as they pop up here. So yes.
I think this will be easier for you. Just put it around your head. Sorry.
Yes, the future is here. Yes. So let's look at what it did there. So you're traveling from there to there with an unknown country because we haven't really put in any. So like it depends on the parameters that you put in. Like it says, it provides it with the most accurate information based on the information that you provided. I did not provide what nationality I am, if there is a visa required. But it does provide stuff like Schengen, like the thing about the Schengen visa. I also did not say what currency that I am using, so it does not have the currency rate here. Also, I believe the API for that is not set here. But the weather is pretty simple. You can get it from a number of different open sources. So it has all of that information here: airport to city center, tourist attractions, and all within Hamburg. So it's a very nice itinerary for my trip. But let's say what is conversion from SEK to euros, because if I would be using Swedish kroner. But again, I believe that the API is set, but oh yeah, it is set. It's just that I did not specify here. And again, so it is like any other LLM. You need to be more specific. It's just that the data is more grounded here. And if we want to look at it from that events perspective again, so as I said, so this is where we are at with the greeter, and now this is what happened when I made the second prompt. Second prompt, it first gave me a response saying, okay, I'm doing this thing for you. And then from there, it went into these 3 agents, to Google search, into the weather, and into the currency, all the information that is been asked compile, and we'll look at the instructions that that sort of works off of, which is, here we go. Yes. So which is how it works off. Always start. So the instructions here are always start by greeting the user, and use these things to get the information. So, like for example, entry requirements, city center, all that stuff you got from Google search, currency information, currency agent, and that's how you do it. You tell it the things that you want it to do, and you do it verbally, line by line. And then you write the function, and it will call the function. So it's basically a very smart API calling tool. And then, like, eventually, once all the information is gathered, save it in a file, and then the response format. And I believe this is the format that we got here. Sorry, yes, it is this one. Yes, that is the format that we got here. But like, again, we can call individual agents as well, and we'll see that here. So it did exactly as it was instructed to do, provided all the information, gathered it back into travel helper here, and the travel helper created the text that we see as the summary here. And again, the text will be as accurate as the information that you give it. But then I only asked it for the currency. It recognizes that as well, goes into only doing the currency agent, and gives you sort of currency conversion based on what you wanted from that. So yes, the reason is an agent development kit is it does support most parts of development. This front-end environment will be similar to the front-end environment any of your AI would have. The back-end environment, you can see all of the API calls being called, and it's sort of a QA environment as well, right? Because like it shows you all the states being called, and if there's any error in the states that are being called. And sort of going back here, it also to show you how it looks. If we look at sort of the diagrammatic difference between these people, these things here. So we have the agent, and these are other agents. This one, I only had one agent, and these are tools. Tools are functions that you cannot consider to be AI. They're just like functions that this one agent will call. And sometimes that's enough. And like for example, for this demo that I had made. But this one is, there are tools behind these agents as well. It's just that they're not separated. And if you had, for example, this agent was configured to call other agents, you would have multiple layers of agenting as well that would come together. Yeah, but that's how it looks as a sort of an overall application. You don't deploy it as a web application. This is just a test environment. This is just when you deploy it, it's deployed as an API, and then you call that API with whatever front end that you would build. But sort of go back to testing on a closer level. We will now go into the travel helper, and then run this again, because now we can. Sorry, not on the travel helpers, into the sub agents themselves, because now we can find the sub agents, which are these four guys here, and here we go. And we can select an agent, for example, greeter, hello, and that's all it does. And these separately, they are not very useful, but like if you want to test one after the other, you can do that as well. So it provides a platform for modular testing. Yes, which where I'm from, Uppsala. So this is it will locate the latitude, longitude, all that stuff. So you see, it also has tools within it, which it uses. We just don't see those tools when we have it in the previous layer, but there are layers within them as well. But yes, that is sort of how an agent works. Much of like what you need to get started in the repository that I showed you, there is the setup. You don't need the Google Cloud project for this. Actually, you can do it with a without the Vertex AI key. You can use a Google AI Studio key, which is what I used, and I'll show you sort of where that comes in. So for example, this is the AI Studio. AI Studio is completely free, but remember it trains on your data, so don't use it for anything that is like non-demo. This is something we warn for all people that want to use AI. So you can generate a key here, you get the key, copy the key and use it. You can of course create a paid version of the key, you can upgrade it. And the key does have quotas, but yeah, this is just like a simple API key that you can use. And that's basically all you need to configure along with this requirement to get started with this. Because the rest is just simple Python. And it is available in Java and Go as well, if those are languages that you would prefer. But yes, that is basically how you would go there. Yes, that's basically how you would execute an agent development, but how would you bring it to the cloud? So we're going to go through that very quickly. It's in rather quick fashion is Cloud Run. There is documentation on how to use it in Cloud Run. I've sort of put in these slides just to show you what it looks like. Cloud Run, it has deployment, run, and build for all of your codes, and it's deeply integrated with the ADK. Of course, again, these are from the Google slides. It can work with any language, any framework, any library. It scales to an enterprise grade. And it is lower cost because it is pay as you go, but also like fewer service interruptions, much faster than most legacy platforms. And it scales according to like whatever API that you use. And it has GPUs if you would like to use that. So I would like to go a little bit into this in a little bit more detail, but it seems like we are almost out of time for the talk part of this, and I could explain this a bit more. But it's Cloud Run is good for AI agents because it is like rapid deployment. The one that I showed you earlier, I deployed that on Cloud Run as well. It has AI inference. Yes, this is one last term that you need to use, which is Model Context Protocol. Model Context Protocol is something that is newly built so that your model will always use the same context. So, so you'd basically built a server that makes that is much better at decision making towards like what tool to use, and that consistent server can be used for multiple agents. So like you can have not just one agent, but like multiple agents using the same MCP server to use the same tools. In different ways based on how you have instructed them to do so. Yes, it is an open standard, again, open source. And this is like the previous model, but with the MCP included. And if you want to check that out more, I would recommend this code lab. It's really good for MCP servers. And I would say MCP servers are, at least for the foreseeable few months, the future of where the agent development kit is headed. So if you want to check that out, but I believe now we are at the Q&A portion of this of this talk. Here is my LinkedIn if you would like to connect. But I think now we'll be taking some questions. Yes, yes.